They all sat in the parlor, quiet now, like the air had been sucked out of the room. Only the slow tick-tick of the old wall clock dared to speak. Everyone was waiting. Ada sat with her knees tucked under her chin, not making eye contact. Her hands wouldn't stop trembling. Her father sat opposite her, holding Amara's hand like he would never let go again. Their mother hovered in the background, pacing with nervous energy, murmuring soft prayers as if she feared the moment would break like glass. "I think we all deserve to know," her father finally said, his voice hoarse. "What happened, Amara? Where have you been all these years? Who took you?" Amara took a deep breath. Her eyes flicked toward Ada, and for a second Ada felt like a child again, small, ashamed, caught. Amara looked away. "It started the day Ada and I fought," Amara began. "We were young. I didn't know that would be my last day at home." Ada's heart dropped. The memory came rushing back. The fight, the screaming. The way she had pushed Amara told her she wished she'd never been born. And then, the lies. "You were only 12, their mother whispered. "We searched everywhere. Your school, the stream, even the market," Amara nodded. "But I never got to any of those places. That man, the one that worked at the market, Uncle Bayo's cousin, he saw us arguing. I was crying. He offered me sweets, said he would help me find Ada. I followed. Him." Their father closed his eyes, pain stretching across his face. Their mother covered her mouth. The silence was thick with horror. "I didn't know I'd never come back." Ada's voice broke through, soft and guilty. "Amara, I didn't tell anyone. I told them you ran away. I didn't want to get in trouble." Amara turned to her, quiet. "You didn't get in trouble, Ada. I did." Those words stabbed like a knife. Ada felt the tears come again, hot and ugly. "He took me to another town," Amara continued, her voice surprisingly calm. "Sold me. First to a woman who made me hawk bitter cola, then to another who locked me in her house for years. I was like a shadow. No name, no family, nothing. I lost count of time." "Oh God," their father muttered. "But I never forgot," Amara said, looking at each of them. "I never forgot my name. I never forgot my home. I held on to your faces in my dreams." "How did you escape?" their mother asked. "I didn't escape," Amara replied. "One of the women who used to buy things from me, she noticed I never went to school, never went home. She began to ask questions. I think she knew something was wrong. One day she followed me, found the house. She called the police." "God bless her," their mother whispered. "They took me away, asked me questions, placed me in a shelter. Years passed. I grew up, but I still didn't remember the name of our village, only Ada and Mama. That was all I kept saying." Ada broke down again, her body shaking with grief. "I'm so sorry. I should have told the truth. I was jealous, angry. I didn't mean for this to happen." Amara didn't reply immediately. She looked down at her hands, the hands that had worked, suffered, survived. "I believe you didn't mean for it to happen," she said at last, "but your silence made it happen." The truth hung there, heavy, final. "I don't know if I can ever forgive myself," Ada whispered. "That's not for me to decide tonight," Amara said quietly. "I didn't come back for revenge. I came back because I needed to see, to know." They all sat in silence again. This time, it wasn't empty. It was full, with memory, with guilt, with years lost. And in the silence, Amara spoke again. "But that's not even the worst of it," she said. Everyone turned to her sharply. "What do you mean?" their father asked. Amara stood up slowly. "The man who first took me, he's still alive, and I saw him today." The moment those words left Amara's lips, it was like the whole house held its breath. Ada's mother clutched the edge of a chair, her knees threatening to give way. Her father stood up, slow and shaky, like the ground beneath him was no longer stable. "You saw him? Today?" he asked, eyes wide. Amara nodded. "Yes, he was walking near the old market square. Older now, grey hair, limping a little. But it was him. I would never forget that face." Ada couldn't move. Her body was frozen in place. The name that haunted her childhood, the fear she buried, was now alive and walking again. She wanted to ask 100 questions, but her mouth stayed shut. Their mother spoke, her voice trembling. Did he see you too?" "Yes," Amara answered. We locked eyes. He looked shocked, terrified, like he'd seen a ghost. "What did you do?" the father asked. "I followed him," Amara said, folding her arms across her chest. "I didn't say anything. I just wanted to see where he lived now." He kept looking over his shoulder, walking faster. He thought I was going to scream or cause a scene, but I didn't. I watched him go into a yellow house near the butcher's stall. Then I came here. Her father started pacing. "That man, that devil, we should go to the police." Amara raised her hand. "I already did. I went to the station before coming here. Gave them his name, what he did, where he stays. But you know how it is here. They said they'll look into it, that I should bring proof." "Proof?" her mother shouted. "She is the proof. What more do they want?" Amara gave a bitter smile. "They want money, or power. We don't have enough of either." Ada finally stood up. Her legs still felt weak, but she couldn't stay sitting anymore. Maybe we can go together. All of us. Make noise. Let the whole town know what he did." Amara turned to her. "Slowly. Why now, Ada? Why after 20 years? "I was a child then," Ada said, tears filling her eyes. "But I'm not a child now. I want to help. Let me help." The room went silent again. Then their father said, "We'll go tomorrow morning, all of us. If they won't listen to one girl, they'll listen to a family." Amara nodded. Her face was calm, but her eyes still held pain. "Okay, tomorrow then." That night, nobody slept properly. Ada stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, remembering the last time she saw Amara as a little girl, the jealousy that burned inside her. Amara had always been the favorite, beautiful, soft-spoken, loved by everyone. But Ada, loud and rough around the edges, felt invisible. She hated how much praise Amara got, and that hate had made her lie. She turned and looked at the shadowed figure on the other side of the bed. Amara was asleep finally, her chest rising and falling gently. Ada watched her for a long time and whispered into the dark, "Please forgive me, please." By morning the family was up early. Word had spread already. The neighbors had started whispering. Some had even come to confirm it themselves. Was it true? Was the lost daughter back? Was it the same girl from 20 years ago? Questions buzzed like flies. At the police station, the officers were slow, uninterested at first, but the moment Amara walked in with her family, father, mother, and sister, and told the story again, louder this time, the mood changed. Other people in the station paused to listen. Even the senior officer came out from his office. "Are you telling me," he said, leaning forward, "that you know where this man is? Now?" "Yes," Amara answered. "I can take you there." The officer straightened his cap. "Let's go, but if this is some family drama—" "It's not," Ada interrupted. "It's real." So they all got into a van. Amara, Ada, their father, 2 policemen, and one silent prayer holding them all together. When they reached the yellow house near the butcher's stall, Amara pointed. "That's where he entered." The officers walked up and banged the door hard. It took a while, but then it opened, and there he was. Older, smaller. His eyes immediately found Amara's, and they widened in horror. She stepped forward and said only one thing, "Remember me." He didn't speak. He tried to shut the door, but the police had already forced their way in. The man tried to run. His legs, though older and weaker now, moved fast with panic, but the officers were faster. One grabbed him by the shoulder, the other kicked the door wider open. A crowd was already forming outside. Market women left their stalls. Children stood on their toes. Whispers spread like wildfire. "That's him. That's the man who—" She said he took her, sold her like a goat. Ah! God will punish some people in this life. Inside the small house, chaos brewed. The man fought, cursing, yelling, pretending like he didn't know what was going on. "I don't know her. This is madness. I've never seen this girl in my life." But Amara stood calmly. Her voice was low but strong. "You knew me when I was 12. You gave me sweets to stop crying. You took me away. I remember your voice, your smell, the black mole on your neck. You kept me in a room with blue curtains. You made me hawk in strange towns. And then you sold me to a woman in Owerri. Want me to continue?" The man froze. He knew. and everyone could see it. The senior officer turned to him. "Do you still want to lie, old man?" The man stayed silent now, his head slowly dropping. "Take him," the officer said. As the officers handcuffed him and dragged him outside, the crowd started shouting. Women spat. Some threw stones. Someone hit him with a shoe. The market butcher yelled, "This is the man who used to buy meat from me every Sunday, and all this time he was a demon walking freely." Amara stood in the doorway, watching. Her heart beat slowly, steadily. But inside it felt like something had cracked open. A wound she'd kept buried now oozed out into the sun. Ada came and stood beside her. "Do you feel better?" she asked quietly. Amara shook her head. "No. Just lighter, but not better." Their father approached. "We will go home now. Let the police do the rest." Back at home, the family sat again, this time in silence. But not the same kind of silence as before. This one was more grounded, real. That evening, more people came, relatives, church members, old friends. Everyone wanted to see Amara, touch her, hug her, tell her they never stopped praying. Food was brought, songs were sung, and in the middle of it all, Amara sat quietly, smiling politely, saying thank you over and over. But Ada could see it. Behind her sister's eyes, there was still distance. That night, long after the visitors had gone and their parents had fallen asleep, Ada entered Amara's room. She found her sitting by the window, the moonlight falling across her face. "Can I sit?" Ada asked. Amara nodded. They didn't talk for a long time. Then Ada whispered, "There's something I never told anyone. That day, before you disappeared, I was the one who dared you to go out. I told you to leave, told you nobody cared if you vanished." Amara looked at her slowly. "I was so angry, so jealous," Ada continued. "You were always loved, always the golden child, and me, I was just the leftover. I didn't want anything bad to happen, but I didn't stop it either. I made you vulnerable. I cursed you out loud. And then when you didn't come back, I lied. I told Mama you went out to look for me and got lost. She started crying again. I wanted to confess all these years, but how do you tell a mother that her missing child is your fault?" Amara watched her cry. Then she spoke. "You were a child, Ada. We both were. You didn't sell me. You didn't tie me up and drag me away. You were cruel, yes. You were jealous. But you didn't do what he did." "I was the beginning," Ada sobbed. "The spark." Amara reached out and took her hand. "Yes, but I'm here now, alive, whole, and maybe God allowed it all so I could become who I am today." Ada looked up. "Do you forgive me?" Amara gave a long, tired smile. "I'm still healing, but tonight, I'll start with yes." The days that followed were both beautiful and strange. Everywhere Amara went, people stared. Some out of curiosity, some with guilt, others with awe. She had become a story, the girl who came back. Some called her a miracle. Others whispered about curses and jealous spirits. In the village, stories didn't just belong to newspapers. They belonged to mouths, to firelight, to evening gossip and market stalls. And Amara's name was now on every tongue. The church invited her to testify on Sunday. Her mother made her wear a bright yellow lace gown and a matching head tie. Ada helped her zip up the back in silence, watching her reflection in the mirror. "You look like a queen," Ada said quietly. Amara gave a small smile. "I feel like an old book that people just started reading again." At church, people cried. The pastor broke down in the middle of the sermon. When Amara stood to speak, the congregation went silent. "I was taken," she said, "but I was not destroyed. I was broken, but I was never finished. God preserved me, not because I was perfect, but because something in me refused to forget who I was. Even in the darkness, I remembered my name." People clapped. Some screamed, "Hallelujah!" Others just sobbed into their handkerchiefs. But not everyone was happy. On their way back home, Ada noticed the way some older women watched them. Eyes that didn't smile, mouths that didn't move. "There's always someone who hates when the dead." "Rise," her father muttered, shaking his head. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the tall palm trees, a knock came at the door. It was sharp, quick and unfriendly. Ada opened it. 3 women stood there. One of them was Madame Risi, the chief's second wife, known for her sharp tongue and powerful connections. The other two were elder village women who ran the Women's Association. "We want to speak with your parents," Madame Risi said without smiling. Their mother came out, wiping her hands on a kitchen towel. "Yes, good evening." Madame Risi didn't waste time. "We heard what happened, and while we thank God your daughter has returned, we must be careful how we spread such a story. The village has a reputation to protect." Ada stiffened. "What do you mean?" The other woman stepped forward. This scandal. A girl taken, sold, returned. It will bring shame. The people in power won't like it. It makes the town look bad." Their mother's voice rose. "So you want us to stay?" "Quiet?" "Yes," Madame Risi replied calmly. "Let the police handle the case. But no more public speeches, no more shouting in the market. If she wants to live peacefully, she should stay quiet." Amara had stepped into the doorway now, arms folded, face calm. "I was silent for 20 years, she said softly. "And where did it get me?" "This is not Lagos," one of the women snapped. "Here, we protect the village first." Amara looked at all of them and said, "Then maybe the village should have protected me first." There was a long silence. Madame Risi clicked her tongue. "You're bold, but don't let your mouth write a check your soul can't cash." Then they left. After they were gone, Ada slammed the door shut. "What was that?" she shouted. "There." Father sat down slowly, rubbing his forehead. "Power," he said. "That's what it was. Some of those women's husbands are tied to that man. Politicians, landowners, friends of criminals. So what do we do now?" Ada asked. Amara was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "We speak louder." Their father looked at her. "Are you ready for that fight?" "I didn't come back just to survive," she said. "I came back to be heard." That night, Ada watched her sister differently. She realized Amara wasn't just a survivor anymore. She was a storm, and storms don't ask for permission to be seen. The next morning, Ada woke up to the sound of voices outside. Not angry voices, not gossip, but laughter. Soft, light, warm. She stepped to the window and saw Amara sitting with 3 children under the mango tree telling a story. The children were hooked, eyes wide, mouths open in awe as Amara's hands moved, shaping the air with each twist in the tail. "And then," Amara said, grinning, "the tortoise landed on his back. Crack. That's why he still walks slowly. And carries a broken shell." The children burst into laughter. One girl leaned into Amara's lap and said, "Tell us another one, Auntie." Ada felt something stir inside her. Pride, maybe. Or guilt's quieter cousin. Longing. She made tea and brought it out to her sister. "You've become a storyteller now?" Amara smiled without looking up. "I've always been one. I just never had anyone to tell the stories to." Later that afternoon, Amara met with a local journalist, an old schoolmate of their father's. His name was Mr. Ease, and he ran a small weekly paper out of a cramped room behind his tailor shop. He wore thick glasses and had a voice like gravel, but when Amara told him her story, his pen didn't stop moving. "You say the man has been arrested?" he asked. "Yes, but the police are dragging their feet. There are people in this town who want the whole thing buried." "I believe you," Mr. Ease said. "I've seen it before. But if we put this in print, there will be noise. Are you ready for that?" "I've been quiet for 20 years, Amara said. "Let the noise begin." When the story hit the front page 2 days later, the town exploded. Stolen child returns. I was sold like a bag of gari. The photo was of Amara standing in front of the police station, arms crossed, eyes firm. The story told everything, from the day she was taken to the women who bought her, to the way she'd survived, to the pressure from village elites to stay silent. Some people were furious, others empowered. The police station received more reports of missing girls. Mothers began asking harder questions. Even the church called for a prayer and justice walk, but trouble followed too. That night someone threw a stone at their gate. A message was tied to it. "Silence is safer." Ada found it first. She picked it up, her hands shaking, and took it inside. "They're trying to scare you," she told Amara. Amara read the note, then dropped it on the table. Let them try. But later that night, Ada heard her crying softly in bed. Not the loud, bitter cry of the day she returned. This one was quieter, tired, worn, the kind of cry that comes from someone who's held on too long. Ada lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She thought about the jealous little girl she used to be, the lie that grew into a curse, and the sister who returned stronger than anyone imagined. She knew now that she had to do more than just apologize. She had to stand beside her sister, truly. The next day, Ada went with Amara to the Community Women's Association. Heads turned the moment they walked in. Madame Risi was there, of course, with her shiny wrapper and sour expression. Ada stood beside her sister and raised her voice. "My name is Ada Ise. I am the sister of the girl who was taken. And I lied. I told my parents Amara ran away. I was a child and I was jealous. But today I'm not a child anymore. Today I'm here to say no more silence. If we can't protect our girls, then what kind of mothers will we become? What kind of wives? What kind of people?" There was a hush in the room. Then, slowly, one woman clapped, then another and another. Madame Risi stood and hissed, "You will regret this, both of you." But this time she sounded less threatening, more desperate. Outside, the sun was bright and merciless, and for the first time in her life, Ada didn't feel like she was standing in someone's shadow. She was standing beside the light. The heat that afternoon was heavy, pressing against the skin like a warning. But even in the thick of it, the village buzzed with movement. People were talking loudly, publicly, at the roadside stalls, in the churchyard, under the mango trees. The story had escaped the corners they wanted to keep it in. Now it ran free, leaping from mouth to mouth. By evening, another knock came at the door, but this one was different. It was timid, polite. Amara opened it and found a woman standing there, holding the hand of a small girl, no older than 9. The woman's eyes were red, her clothes dusty, her lips trembled. "My name is Ngozi," she said softly. "Please, can I talk to you?" Amara stepped aside and let them in. "I read your story," Ngozi began, barely sitting before the tears began to fall. "I had a daughter too, Nena. She vanished 2 years ago after going to sell bananas near the river. The police said she probably ran away. The village elders told me to stop asking questions, that maybe she had brought shame on herself. But I know my child. She wouldn't run." Amara's throat tightened. "What do you need from me?" Ngozi placed both hands together in front of her, as though begging. Help me find her, or help me shake this place enough that someone tells the truth." Ada entered the room carrying a glass of water. She knelt and offered it to Ngozi. "We'll help, all of us. You're not alone anymore." Amara nodded, then reached and took the child's hand, the younger daughter who had survived. The girl looked at her with big, curious eyes. Amara smiled gently. That night, Ada, Amara, and their father sat down to plan they would go back to the police, not just with one name, but with many. Mr. Ise would run more stories. The Women's Association would be challenged head-on. They'd talk to churches, schools, every place where children went missing and no one asked why. "Let them call it noise," Amara said. "Sometimes noise is the only way to wake up the sleeping." Over the next week, the momentum grew. 2 more women came forward, then 3 more. Some came in secret, afraid of their husbands, of their pastors, of the whispers. But Amara welcomed all of them, listening, hugging, collecting names, writing dates. Meanwhile, the man who took her, Obinna, sat in a small cell, silent as stone. His influence was still strong, but cracks had begun to form. A junior officer came to the house one afternoon with news. "There's talk that Obinna was part of a larger ring," he said quietly. "People high up, people who've never been named." "Then name them," Ada said. The officer looked uncomfortable. "Not so easy. Not here." Amara stepped forward. "Then we'll go beyond here." She meant it. The next day, she and Ada took a trip to the city, met with a human rights lawyer, a fierce woman named Barrister Chinwe, who read through Amara's statements and said, "This is not a village issue. This is national." They prepared documents, video recordings, a public petition. Mr. Ise helped them publish a national piece, front page, bigger press, more reach. And then something shifted. The police chief was summoned to the state office. Two of Obina's known business partners vanished from town. Madame Risi, who once barked like a queen, suddenly grew quiet. One night their father came home with a strange look on his face. "I just left a town meeting," he said. "The council wants to give Amara an award for bravery, for community service." Amara laughed, low and bitter. "The same people who told us to stay quiet?" "Yes," he said, "but people change when fire touches their fence." "Let them keep their award," Amara said. "I didn't come back to collect plaques. I came back so girls like Nena don't vanish like I did." Ada looked at her sister, so different from the soft, glowing child she once knew. This Amara had been bent but not broken, scarred but not silent. And for the first time, Ada didn't just admire her, she stood with her. A few days later, the house that was once filled with whispers and tears now felt like a war room. There were papers on the table, names, dates, locations, maps marked with pins, a black notebook Amara never let out of her sight. It held everything, statements from other women, old police files she'd begged for, even a drawing of the room she'd once been locked in as a girl, a place that haunted her dreams and memory like a ghost. Ada sat by her side every day, sorting, writing, calling. She barely recognized the woman she used to be, the jealous older sister hiding behind lies. Now her hands were doing something useful, her voice rising beside her sister's, strong and unwavering. They were building a case, a real one, and it was working. More families came forward. One woman recognized the name of a woman who had once adopted a girl from a local orphanage, now known to be connected to Obina. A former policeman quietly slipped a list of names into Mr. Easy's hands, unmarked graves near a forest edge. Another man, old and dying, confessed to seeing money change hands between Obina and a village chief 20 years ago. The lawyer, Barrister Chinwe, visited again. "You've done more in 3 weeks than the government has done in 20 years, she told Amara. "But now it's getting dangerous." Ada looked up sharply. "What do you mean?" "There are rumors," Chinwe said. "The people you're naming, some are still in power. They won't sit quietly. They're watching." Amara didn't flinch. "Let them watch." But the threat became real soon enough. Late one night they heard a knock. Not like before, this one was frantic, wild. Their father rushed to the door. It was one of their neighbors, panting, his wrapper loose around his waist. "Come quickly," he shouted. "The storehouse is burning." They ran outside barefoot. In the darkness, orange flames licked the sky. The back shed, where Ada and Amara had kept boxes of papers, testimonies, evidence, was crackling and melting. "Water, water," their father shouted, but it was too late. By the time the flames died down, there was only ash. People gathered, murmuring. Some said it was an accident. Others didn't believe that for a second. Amara stood there, her face cold. Her mother cried. Ada stared into the smoke, her eyes burning from more than just the heat. "They tried to erase it," Ada whispered. Amara nodded slowly. "But I didn't put everything in there." She walked back into the house and opened her black notebook. "This is still safe," she said, holding it up. "And my voice, they can't burn that." The next day, Amara and Ada sat on a wooden bench outside the police station, surrounded by women holding placards. "We won't be silent. Bring our daughters home." We remember. One by one, the women took turns telling their stories. "Was only 14, Aunt. They told me she ran away. My sister was taken in 03. We never got answers. Reporters came, cameras too. A local TV crew covered it live. And suddenly the story wasn't just a whisper in one dusty town. It became a cry heard across the country. That night a call came, a man's voice, quiet, careful. "I know where some of the girls were taken," he said, "but I can't speak on the phone. Meet me, alone." Amara listened, eyes narrowing. Ada shook her head. "It could be a trap." Amara didn't blink. "Or it could be the piece that brings everything down." Their father stood. "Then I'll go with you." But Amara shook her head. "No, just me and Ada." They agreed to meet at the edge of the old forest road, just before midnight. And as they walked through the dark path, their footsteps light, the air thick with danger and destiny, Amara whispered, "If I don't come back, tell." the world I was not afraid to die for the truth. Ada reached out and took her hand. "You're not dying," she said. "You're finally living." The forest road was quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence that presses against your skin and makes you question every step. Ada kept glancing over her shoulder as she and Amara walked toward the place the man had mentioned, a broken-down shrine at the edge of the forest. No lights, just moonlight filtering through the tall trees like pale fingers. "Are you sure about this?" Ada whispered. Amara didn't answer right away. Her eyes were locked forward, every step measured. Truth doesn't always come in safe places. When they reached the shrine, a figure stepped out from behind it, an old man, his shirt stained with dust, his eyes hollow. He looked like he hadn't slept in years. "You came," he said. "Speak," Amara said, calm but cold. The man looked around nervously. "I was one of the drivers. I used to move the girls, small ones, some crying, some already too tired to cry." Ada's stomach turned. "I worked for Obinna. But not just him. There were others. A doctor in Owerri, a businesswoman from Lagos, even a politician who once ran for senator. Big people. I kept names. I was scared, but I kept them." He pulled out a dirty envelope. Inside were photographs, handwritten names, ledger papers, receipts. Ada's hands trembled as she held them. Amara took one long look and asked, "Why now?" The man exhaled a broken sigh. "Because my granddaughter went missing last week. Everything went quiet." Ada felt something like ice crawl down her spine. "Now I know what it feels like," the man said, tears suddenly falling. "Now I understand what I helped do." Amara took the papers. "Thank you. We'll take it from here." As they turned to leave, the man called after them. "You'll have to go far now. These names, they'll shake the whole system." "We're not afraid anymore," Amara said. By morning, the final war began. They handed the files to Barrister Chinwe. She stared at the names, her jaw tightening. "This is it," she said. "They can't bury this." The media went wild. Human. Trafficking ring exposed. Prominent figures named. There were arrests, protests, investigations reaching beyond the village, into cities and high places. Amara's name trended for days. The president even made a statement. "We will bring justice," he said. For once, it sounded less like a promise and more like a warning to those who had hidden too long. In the village, change came slowly. But it came. The police chief was replaced. A new office was set up for missing persons. A foundation was named after Amara, dedicated to protecting young girls. Schools introduced programs on safety and reporting abuse. Mothers whispered less and spoke more. At home, their family changed. Ada and Amara sat on the veranda one morning sipping tea. "Do you think you'll ever leave again?" Ada asked. Amara looked up at the sky. "Maybe, but not to run, to build, to help." Ada smiled. "I'm proud of you." Amara turned to her, eyes soft. "I'm proud of us." Their father came out, newspaper in hand. Their mother followed, humming as she cooked. Life was not perfect, but it was whole again. One day a girl knocked on their gate, barely 10. She clutched a notebook and asked, "Is it true you used to be lost?" Amara crouched beside her. "Yes, it's true," the girl nodded. "Then maybe you can help me find my sister." Amara stood and opened the gate wider. "Come inside. Let's talk." And just like that, the story continued. Not as a tragedy, but as a legacy. A reminder that even in the darkest parts of the world, truth will always find a way to knock on the door. And this time, someone would answer.